Live from New York.
Holiday night.
I like that.
Make sure everything's. You know what I've been listening to at work in the background of my headphones? I highly recommend it for your peaceful moments.
What's that?
What does that say?
Oh my gosh. That's like nostalgia.
It peace. The
In the,
music by it is so nice. It is so nice and peaceful.
who knew they were cooking like
Unimaginatively
that?
so. Say it again?
Yeah. Said who knew they were cooking like that back then?
I mean, some of these people, which is why you gotta love art, because it's just like, what was that statement for? Ironically enough, what's that statement by Drake, or from a Drake song? Only good shit's gonna last. All other bullshit is here today and gone tomorrow. Remember that?
Yeah.
But ironically, you know, I found myself revisiting Skyrim years later, even if it's just through the soundtrack and not necessarily the game. But it was good then. It's good now.
Yeah, I will listen to that. That's
No,
dope.
absolutely. Okay, so should we start the conversation first, and then we do all the other stuff afterwards, the editing stuff, or do you want to
Yeah.
just?
No, let's get to right to it. And then we can do the editing stuff at the end.
Okay, have we started recording already?
We have. Yeah.
All right. All right, so maybe you start off with a review then. What did you think of the project?
I like the project. I like Iceman. I like Habibti for the first probably 2/3, and then the end of Habibti, I just kind of felt like it was in a lull. And then I didn't like Maid of Honor at first, and then it started growing on me. Um, Especially that song "Stuck." That's a banger, I think.
Stuck with that stuck. Which one is that one? Forgot that one.
Like stuck, stuck like that,
Think I know.
stuck like that. I'm probably butchering the lyrics,
I think I
but
know what you're referring to.
yeah, I really like that song. But I enjoyed the project. I enjoyed
Definitely.
what he delivered. I do feel there's a review by this. You probably know Fraser Thorpe. He's um he's a black reviewer creator. I think he's with GQ. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. I should probably fact check myself. But he basically said, this is Drake's best project in years, which I agree with until you listen closely.
Until you listen closely.
Yeah. Afraid, yeah,
Yeah,
even that.
that's
Yeah.
always the problem. It's the say it's the I think his rapping. So I think maybe I'll do my review then. I think his rapping on Iceman. I think it was good. It sounded good. And some of the bars sounded good too. Some of them can be a bit ridiculous. Um, but I think overall, it's really the subject matter. It's really the subject matter. Like what?
The
Like
angles.
what? We'll say it again.
I think the angles. It's the sun,
Right. Like
and it's the angles. I don't think many of the angles he took, especially since he was trying to rebut um the whole beef, basically,
right. Yeah.
especially, Euphoria. and many of the one-liners in Euphoria. Um, I just think it's kinda like it's kinda like scaling the wall in, Game of Thrones. It's like, don't try and scale the wall. Right? Go through it, get to the you can't scale that wall. You can't go back and try to rehash those things. Those were, to me, complete thoughts, and you have to have a really, really, really insightful angle to redo some of that, or
Undo some of that.
undo some of that and revisit that. And I just felt like his angles don't make complete sense if you really think deep
It,
about what he
it's
said.
it really is. It feels as though he's like literally like forming another reality of
The
like
master manipulator.
like like
You're doubling down on the ideas that he basically I had to go back and listen to GNX and some of those tracks again, and I'm like,
yeah, GNX. Apparently, GNX has been going back up on the charts again, which
yeah,
is
yeah, it's back in the top 10 on, like, Apple Music.
what?
And that's the thing, right? It's a narrative black hole that I wish he would get himself out of rehashing.
Right. It's man, there's a whole
Yeah,
analysis on this. Like this is
yeah,
such an interesting. It's such an interesting way this whole narrative has played out. Let me see if I can break it down a bit. I think going back to the review, I think it's he's really mad. He's good technically. Some of the bars, like I said, were good. They sound good. They sound so he's so good at that. They sound really good. Some of those bars. Some of them, obviously, if you listen a little closer, even the ones that really sound good, it's just like going back to that narrative. It's that sort of I don't even it's a portion of manipulation. It's a portion of like trying to force feed the narrative that like but I can't even blame him for it too, because like as an artist, you always have to talk from your own perspective. And then he also has I kind of feel like it's a Chinese puzzle box that he's found himself in. And I believe the answer, I believe the answer to this conundrum that he's found himself in and how to actually respond now to anything, how to rap now, is I think this conundrum um, is resolved somewhere in the past. You you should have moved differently. I can't even I don't know how you get out of this because rap has a certain persona to it. So if let's say Drake goes the more introspective, the route that we all kind of have in our head, like maybe Drake like finally awakens and starts using his talent for good and he starts rapping in a different way. If he does go that way, you know what the narrative is going to be? Kendrick
that
whooped this
Kendrick.
boy so good. He had deep
Yeah,
moments of self-reflection and he changed his whole persona. And it's just like, is that good or is that bad? Hip hop would clown you forever for that. And like he's playing to that like persona of hip hop, right? Where I think it kind of leads him to doubling down on his perspective, but that perspective is just like this is where that manipulation comes in, where it says like, if I can create just an ecosystem of this belief, of this idea, of this narrative, if I get enough people to buy it, like and actually buy it, like physically take money out and buy it, then it doesn't matter if it's not true. It doesn't matter the conflicting narrative. It's just, I can just go along with this. Hence why he just doubles down on it. Right.
yeah.
And then go
I
ahead.
think I think he's playing with fire. I think he's playing he's breaking principle in a way. You're trying to tell me that So he's doing a couple things. He's got an ongoing lawsuit, and in the lawsuit, the whole point of the lawsuit is that it's defamation. His
Right.
label is essentially defaming him to lower his value, and that's because of a rap beef and a song, right? Um, and then he's also saying in the other breath, right, that none of those lyrics were potent and affected me at all, and it was all
Right.
fabrication. So he's like, I'm completely unbothered by this.
Back to my villainous
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. For me, I think that, here's my analysis. I think that let's go that he's saying to himself, I kind of feel bad for him.
He's
I
talking
kind of feel
himself.
bad. Like he's like in the mirror, like the only person you can like, let's go, let's go, let's go. Like that like motivation. And
Yeah.
it's just like he has to say that at this point. He has to say that at this point. It kind of it's an interesting ad lib, but at the same time, it's just like it just feels like it didn't have to be this way, but I don't know. It's a very interesting point that we found himself in. And I think it's actually kind of a cool ad lib, but I kind of feels bad for him at the same time. Like I said, where it's just like, you know, the only person.
Go ahead.
No, 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 go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's there were points. I'll give him this credit, right? There were points, especially in the first song, where he was trying to talk about the effect that it had on him in like a real
Mm-hmm.
way. Where
Mm-hmm.
he was like, what did he say? He said, "Oh, it feels like I, I'm not me, but I am me. Like I lost a piece of myself, right?" And that July was the worst time I've ever like the worst I've ever felt that July. Um, and then he said like, "Oh, but there's things I'd rather be focused on and thinking about, like my dad's sick at this time, right?
But
And
that's the
I'm
conundrum.
raising
That's
my son, so who cares about all this, right?"
the self-reflective. I think what we want in the self-reflection there is like, what steps did you take to get here? What steps did you take? Not what other people did, not what other people did,
She's about to
but
call us. Right.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It's
you
not what
got
other people did, it's what did you do to get here? I think that's what people want from you to a certain extent. Um, but like that's not just he's been saying it his whole career. Right? I think there's like a whole thesis on the statement that Drake made all those years ago. And honestly, one of my favorite, past Drake songs, one of my favorite lines to quote from Drake. It's as simple. I like that. He's always been good at saying things that have a certain element of depth to it, but in very, very simple terminology, right? I just want to be successful. I want the money, money in the cars, cars in the hose, the clothes, or I don't know if it's the other way around. I think is so important because he doesn't do that anymore. I just want to be successful. Like, I suppose, like, you had a like there's a and that in the analysis there is like you had a perception of wealth and of fame and of success, right? And you questioned it to a certain extent. I want the money in the cars, whatever success looks like. I just want to be successful. There was a realness there, but like only in the aspiration did that feel real. But the second you became successful, that's gone. And then we get this Drake. It's a very interesting evolution.
yeah. So there's so many layers to this. there was a part in one of the tracks where he's like, "I
Maybe
just
I'm
wanna."
overthinking it. Who knows?
Oh, no, no, I think you're right. There was a part in one of the tracks when he said, "I just wanna be free."
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
Like, that kinda, like it
That's
kinda
sort of
felt
that
like
same vibe
that same vibe, and then
to a
it
certain
also kind
extent.
of like, Reborn with, Ye and, Cudi when he's like, I'm so reborn. I'm moving forward, right? I'm like,
Okay,
"Okay,
yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
getting that vibe. Okay, you just wanna be free, right? You just wanna be free, but being free means, uh, you know, um, one-upping all of your
Everyone,
haters and
every
one-upping
single
label
person.
your label so you can get another $2 billion deal. That doesn't sound like freedom to me. Right?
Your
Yeah,
freedom requires victory. You don't want to be like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
Like
so it's like he's using elements of it, but he's almost not sticking the landing, right? And then the other thing too, this is actually an interesting observation that I think the Joe Budden podcast made about his evolution, right? Where if you remember after the Pusha T beef, right, and he dropped Scorpion, the whole premise part of the premise of Scorpion, though he was talking about mob ties and all that, was like, I guess I settled into my role as the good guy. So I have to be, essentially the bigger guy, the bigger person in all of this, right? I'm gonna sneakily, let everybody know that I've got, shooters on deck and I can put money on your head and I've got mob ties.
right, right. He says it here too,
I'm
which I think
willing
he says in this.
I'm willing to be the bigger person, right? That was the whole
But he also says that here too.
yeah,
The way he keeps hiding behind that, like, I keep having to shake hands with you guys, but in this line, and he says it in such a hard way too. I think he says it in a hard way, but at the same time it's just like it's so funny, like the premise in, like, if we dig deeper, no. But like it's a cool line where he was just like, if it was up to me, like, if it was up to me, it's like the way he said it. That portion, like, that's sick, but
yeah.
like, no,
The
right? Like,
I've noticed though in this era, right? I feel like he's settled into his role as the bad guy, right? I
but
I
like
think
here,
now
oh, here,
he's comfortable being like the Joker,
but
basically.
like
Yeah,
not in a comical way. But like
yeah,
that's the problem too. Like we, what do they say about fiction, right? Or narratives? Like, a lot of the time the narrative depends on the bad guy, right? Like how good the bad guy actually is. Like how
mm,
good of a character the bad guy actually
yeah,
is actually uplifts the narrative.
readable
Um,
thoughts. Yeah,
but essentially it alludes to the idea that we kind of like the bad guy. Like Thanos was utterly insane. Anybody who believes that Thanos' theory of wiping out half the universe to restore resources, and it wasn't just like all the like human beings or like the aliens, but like every creature across, like, down the line, birds even, right? Because birds returned in Endgame, which was crazy. Anybody who believes that is utterly insane, because there's no mathematical, like, it's an insane thought because of but it's like the way they structured Thanos' character, it's that, like, there's a
it
deep
was
reason.
logically consistent.
Yeah, it was logic and consistent with his own psychosis. He
Yeah,
lost his whole land, his whole people, right? But like, there's also the craziness of the fact that prior to his people even being destroyed, right, or ended, he was already crazy, because his initial thought for his people was, we should wipe out half the population and we'll save on resources. And they were like, Thanos, that is utterly insane. That is an insane thing to say. So when it actually came to pass, it's like the villain being justified in their psychosis. Like, I told you so. But like that's not the reason why they died out. And I'm pretty sure a lot of them would be okay not wiping out half their population and dying out anyway. They'd probably rather not be barbaric before they go, right? Or be barbaric at all. But there's a certain likability to the villain. There's a certain we kind of like at a certain point in Infinity War, wanted we kind of like wanted Thanos to win. Right. In a certain point, you were kind of like rooting for Thanos as like this dude is unstoppable. Like, who's gonna beat him? Like, I kind of want to see what he does. Right. But like in a sense, that's not Drake in real life. And in real life, obviously, we can't completely align ourselves with Thanos's narrative. Like, you know what I mean? Like in real life, people like genuinely dislike you. Like you're not the villain we're rooting for. We're not waiting for you to win. You know what I'm saying? So
Uh-huh.
you have to figure out that like this isn't a role. Like it's not like a cool role that you picked up. There have been kind of villainous roles in hip hop, but like we liked it.
He
You know what I'm saying?
played into it. Yeah, like MF Doom, right?
That's exactly what I was thinking of. That's
MF
exactly what I
Doom
was
is,
thinking of.
you know, he created a role, but he's self-aware of the role,
Right.
right? Um, I I don't think there's that extra layer of Drake being the villain, right? In all of this, that's like, but of course I understand I'm not actually that,
Right. I'm not
right?
actually a bad
Yeah,
person, but like you are literally shooting shots at people's wives, at their girlfriends, at their families, several times, in which several times a lot of those people just said to you, hey, we can rap battle, man. Like it's okay. We can diss each other till kingdom come. Just keep our families out of it. And that's where you went. And as a matter of fact, you threatened several times to sleep with these people's wives. What do you think they're gonna say to you? Like,
yeah.
what do you
You're
think they're gonna
still
say
you're
to you?
still
What do you think they're
saying
gonna say to
as
you? What do you
like
think they're gonna do
as
to
a
you?
rebuttal, like
Like, what do you think they're gonna do to you? Like,
yeah,
there's a certain element of not recognizing your own behavior that makes this an issue. So when we get to the rap bars about you talking about court, what are you talking about court for? You're suing the man for defamation from an artist that you rap battled in which you made the claim that his wife was cheating on him with his manager
yeah.
or one of his friends,
Well, not his manager, yeah, his partner,
one of his partners. Like
his
you
co-creator,
participated,
yeah.
you participated, and on top of that, you first started the. Oh my gosh. You first started the. I told her I'm on a call. I literally said I'm on a call.
Tell her we'll do it in an hour.
I don't know if we will.
You're right,
I'm on a
you're
call.
right.
But there's see, that's what I was trying to roundabout. It's the fact that in your narrative, and it's the same thing that I complained about with Kanye. It's just like there's certain elements, like, look what the industry does to me. Yes, but like, look what you did too. Where do you come in? What accountability do you take? Like, if you got a stellar record, and then the industry is actually fucking with you, and like we know you're stellar, or like it'll be apparent. You're
So, yeah, I see what you're saying.
it,
True reflection would have been able to say, and he never said this, right? Not a single time, now that I think about it. True reflection would have been able to admit where you did wrong.
right,
He did not admit at all to doing wrong. He's still the victim, right? He's still
dude.
justified. Look at
Like,
what you're making me do.
how like that's literally psychologically. There's a term for that. There's a real psychological term for literally responding to people by saying, "Look what you made me do. Look what I could have done. This is the position you've got me in." Why doesn't my narrative matter? And it's just like if you presented yourself as an artist that reflected on his own, like on his own. I mean, like, and don't mind you, I'm not saying that like there's like no points in your own history when you've reflected, but like what why have your points of reflection been from a place where like I've now gotten myself entangled with either this girl in this offshore island somewhere by buying her things. And why doesn't she understand how I feel? Why are we here? Let's start, let's start there. Why are we in a situation like this? Instead of the depth of this within the situation where it's just like, I've bought this supermodel to this island, but she doesn't love me quite I would like in the way that I would like to be loved.
You know, he it's almost backhanded apologies, and it's like, I'm sorry you don't understand me. Like,
I'm sorry, you don't understand me. But I'm a deep soul.
yeah,
Telling you I'm
yeah,
a deep soul, and it's just like there's like a certain
you're right.
extra
I
layer.
don't
You're
think
good. He's like very good at the depth within his own world without accepting the very
so.
foundation
This
of
is
the world that you
essentially what
created.
Kendrick was alluding to when he was saying master manipulator, I think, right? Because I love a lot of these songs, right? I love, especially like the very hype songs, like, Plot Twist I've been waiting for a while, the
Mm.
first time I heard it. Janice STFU, uh, Dust, the Make 'Em Do Something series. Like,
I
there's
need to.
like
I'm so
Make
bad with
Make 'Em
remembering.
Cry. Like,
I'm so bad with attaching the names of the songs to the songs themselves. I would have to hear it again.
I
Um,
think I do think a lot of these songs, sort of like, Scorpion, we're gonna hear for a while, right? I think we're going to, but
well, according to the charts, he's dropped millions of streams within the first few days.
yeah, you're right. You're right. Let me put a caveat to this, right? I think, because there's nothing else that's really sticking musically, right? He's gonna occupy like the top 15, right? I think right now he's projected to occupy 14 of the 15 spots. He's gonna, you know, break the Michael Jackson record for most number ones. Though, like, I think more than half of those number ones were features that he did, right? While most of Michael Jackson's number one records were just Michael Jackson songs, nobody
Mm,
else,
mm.
right? So, you know, we'll give it to him, right? But, um, I don't think and this is the true test, right? Will these songs last, right, in people's lexicon, right? Um, I think some of them are catchy enough that they just will, right? Like, I think the Janice FTFU song, National Treasure, uh, I'm not a huge fan of the Future song, to be honest. I think it's one of
Yeah.
the weaker
Apparently,
Future.
and apparently that's the one that's been blowing up the most.
I hope honestly, it would be super ironic if "Ran to Atlanta" was the one that broke the Michael Jackson record for him. Like, uh, if he doesn't see the irony in that, right? I feel like "Ran to Atlanta" is the one that did it. If he doesn't see the irony in that, nobody can show you. But, um, I think I'm really curious to see, right, if kinda like it's kinda testing the principles that we hold dear when it comes to artistic development and artistic evolution, right? Can you really just cap, right? And actually, let me not say cap, right? Because you could truly feel this way, right? Right now. But is this bedrock truth? Right? And you get away with not having bedrock truth in the DNA of your art and just be massive enough for it not to matter? How long does that last?
Here's what I think happened. I think Drake hit a formula in his own artwork that was substantial. It worked. And then I think he kind of industrialized that. Repeat the process. One of the things that he just won't ever get over Kendrick, ever, is that not a single Kendrick project sounds the same. Ever. Think about that. But like it's
There's
odd
something
too,
to be
because
said about that. Yeah.
say it.
There's something to be said about that
It's
alone.
definitely something to be said about that, because I think that's the correct trajectory of art. You're not supposed to take the idea that you had, which is a really good idea, and then just do it over and over again. Move, evolve, get to the next thing. It's okay. I'm sorry, it's okay to let that go, right? It's okay to let that sound go. But like you have to feel your way to the next one. How do you feel right now? What do you want to say? And Drake just kind of circled on a few methods that worked: his Caribbean sound, his Canadian slash British rap sound, his regular monotone rap sound, and then he just repeated the process over and over and over and over and over again. And then every once in a while, he'll do a Spanish cut. Side note, I'll be perfectly honest, I am not a fan of anybody's Spanish cut. I know one. Like it's a rare occasion where I'm happy with like the Spanish cut. Like, and not to say that I don't like Hispanic music. I listen to whatchamacallit, what's his name? Bad Bunny's project. Because I saw that it won the Grammy and I was just like, I want to see why. And it was great. But I don't need Kanye rapping in Spanish. I don't need Drake rapping in Spanish. Let him do it. Let him do it. Um, and then like maybe you can obviously do your own, features, but like it's when they start doing that, like it's I don't know. It doesn't feel anything other than, and I think this is the core of the issue. It's not, I don't feel like you were driven by just the sheer passion of wanting to jump into Hispanic culture and Hispanic art. It,
Here's
it,
a
it's,
pure example of
it
that.
just feels like it's driven by industrialization. Like, I
Yeah,
just gotta,
yeah. Like I'm trying to do a gimmick here. Not even
like,
like it might not come off as a gimmick, right?
right,
Even the definition of what you're doing, right? It might be like, you know what, I'm gonna appeal to this demographic of people. But that thought alone is never how the authentic thing was created.
right,
It was never like I'm going to appeal to Spanish speaking people. They
right.
nobody the actual Spanish speaking artist never thought that when he created it,
You just
right?
wanted to make music.
A perfect
Like you just wanted to make music in whatever language that you speak.
a perfect example of this within the context of Iceman is the too hard for the radio or something. That
Right.
song.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that one. Yeah.
I don't want to get the name right because I don't want to. I got a fact. Too hard for the radio. It's actually on my. Look at that. It was. I opened up Spotify, and it was right there. Right.
Perfectly up.
So that was you thinking, I'm going to make a not like us type song. Right. I'm going to get on a West Coast beat. I'm going to kind of pay homage to Mac Dre. I'm gonna get a West Coast producer, right? And I'm going to show you how to do your style better than you. All of that is the wrong train of thought when making a West Coast produced song, right? You're not like it's supposed to feel like, you know what? When I was growing up, this was something I heard that I've always loved, and now I want to I don't even
Participate,
know. Yeah,
contribute,
I wanna participate, I want to add to it, I
contribute.
want to pay homage,
Hmm.
right? Like, I actually think low on his priority list was paying homage. but high on his priority list was trying to get at the West Coast artists. Like, you literally
Specifically Kendrick.
Kendrick, talk about Kendrick, you talk about Mustard. I'm gonna
Mhm.
go get a West Coast producer. I'm gonna try and create some conflict between, the West Coast artists, and um I'm gonna make a better song than him to show you that the song that he made that was
Was
massive
was yeah, it was easy.
was just a fluke. I could do that too, right? And it's like you misunderstand why it was a big song, right? You misunderstand why it was a moment. You misunderstand why it worked, right?
I mean, well, how could he understand it when it's a direct antithesis to him? Like it's specifically targeted towards you. It's like I don't know. At some point, everything he just does is just a rebuttal. And mind you, it's in the vein of hip hop. Like I'm not disputing. It's it's and whether hip hop, whether rappers or other artists or other people believe it is or not, I believe that's. I think he's just like I think what we don't like about him, it feels like he's like a bad reflection of hip hop. Um, like, that's what it feels like sometimes. It's just like a bad mirror of hip hop. But like
Like being on his best rapper
right,
persona. Yeah.
right, and it's just hard to watch, and I think that's also the one of the reasons why I thought the battle between him and Kendrick was so important because like we can't let this image of hip hop win. We just can't. We can't let this like it just can't win. It just it just can't win for the
What's crazy?
of the craft. We just can't let this win.
You, you
Thank you,
you know what's crazy
team
about
that
this?
fixed it.
Never go into this conversation wanting to like I actually still like this project, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, I also
Said it to
enjoy.
you. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
said it to
actually thought it
you.
was
It's that
better.
I think it's his best since Scorpion, right?
Right, right.
Um, but it's like
The one that yeah, sorry, go ahead.
the problem is the more you think about it past the surface layer, the worse the picture gets. You have to almost not think, right? To make it okay, like completely okay. Like,
And it also it's like I don't this is what I mean by the conundrum. It's just like you had a chance to respond. You already did. You already had a chance to respond. You already had the full battle. You lost,
he
you
did
know?
respond. He dropped like he literally dropped several responses. He dropped face. He dropped
Yes,
give me a
but
hug.
like
Right. He dropped a
that's
lot of
that's
responses.
the issue. That's the issue.
The Fighting Irish freestyle, he
Mhm.
dropped a lot of responses already, and now he's still dropping more responses. Like it's too many responses, bro.
It feels, it screams. It's unfortunate, but it feels like sore loser. Feels like sore loser. Like you 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 had your opportunity in the real arena. You went against the guy. Like what else is left in like the real arena in the moment? He called you out. You were like, I've been waiting for this. And we're like, great. Let's see what you got. You quote unquote beat Meek Mill. Your career survived the punishment of Pusha T. Never beat him though. Shout out Pusha T. Never beat him. Um, but for the
Survived him.
most part, you've definitely
Pusha T.
say it again.
Surviving Pusha T.
Right. But for the most part, you know, you've maintained the narrative that you've survived and taken your wounds and you're good in a rap battle. And then Kendrick said, "No, you're not." And then you responded in real time. You had all the opportunities to say all you did. There was one response where he was just like, "This feels." The name of this project should have been "And Another Thing." And one more thing.
Actually.
Actually, right? You already lost. You already gave all your rebuttals. You already said everything in real time. In real time. So what do we? Which is why I kind of feel bad for him in a sense, where it's just like in hip hop, you don't admit defeat. You don't admit defeat. So like you got to kind of just like move past it. But where do you move to? And I think that is the self-reflection that people are hoping that you'd get into. Like, where do you move to? But then the conundrum there, like I said, within your own frame of references, I can't I can't do what they tell me to do because then I lose. I can't not respond because then he wins. And I can't um well, what, I can't just stop making music in general. Then I mean, like that, any move just feels wrong. It's a perfect checkmate. Any move feels wrong. I don't know how you respond to this, but this one felt probably the most wrong because it's
Man,
like
this
because you did respond to it, and then you
he's trying to
spent
paper it over.
sitting in
He's trying to paper it over like,
like
forget that happened.
you did respond to it, and then your whole narrative is what was his narrative on Kendrick? It was an industry move. The powers that be are against me, dude.
That's probably
You're it,
worst the worst conception of what happened. Do you really think, and especially one of the things that I like that happened the week of him dropping this was Kendrick's licenses on some of these on I think his license with Interscope is up and has to be renewed. So it's sort of like Not Like Us, right? I'm gonna look this up real quick 'cause I want to fact check myself. Yeah, Not Like Us music video by Kendrick Lamar. Only thing in the credits now is PG Lang and Kendrick. There's no mention of Interscope, no mention of any of the majors, right? Which means that the license for all of this work reverted back to him. Is that the industry, nigga? That's that's the industry guy?
the guy that got the Super Bowl stage and use it to preach a message against industry and capital and politics, and like, what are you talking about, bro? You're more industry than he is. If there's anybody to continuously help, it would be you because you're profitable, right? It's not a I mean, I don't know. It could be, but like you have to understand how that sounds to us. Like, even if it's true, like it just sounds like complaining. And then
Yeah.
like it
To
just
anybody
sounds like
really thinks about it, but there's a lot of people that are okay. If you just live on like Twitter where all the fans and the fan bases are just fighting back and forth all day,
oh my
right?
God.
None of these ideas get to penetrate, right? Um, People are basically running campaigns. They don't care about the nuance of anything, right? So you would think by going online that, you know, people genuinely don't see any of these things, right? But I don't think if you actually approach someone in real life off the camera and talk to them and had like a real conversation with them about what happened here and what's really important and what's the real takeaway, they're gonna come off and say like, "Oh, uh, the industry was trying to tear down like, Drake because
Trying to
uh,
tear down another black man.
yeah,
Mm,
he's fighting against the machine. He's fighting against the man." It's like,
right.
no,
Kendrick Lamar. Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, damn, not in that order, obviously. Kendrick Lamar is the industry now. Look at his record. What are you talking about? Look at yours. You rap about like secret places nobody's ever been. Yeah, I just went up to the top roof of the cabana and smoked a weed with
Yeah.
3 Scandinavian girls, and they wanted to know my secret identity. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Where are you? Kendrick's is home with his family. Where are you? And then that's the thing, you drag depth from that narrative. She doesn't treat me the way I want to be treated. You mean the random Scandinavian girl on top of that rooftop that you met while you were just smoking a cigar and drinking alcohol?
She's
The, what
literally here because your name is on the sign, bro.
are you talking about?
You're not here for anything.
You slept with somebody else? Oh no. Did you think she was here? Like, what are you talking about? Who's this for? Who's living that life other than you? And look, it's
Oh
like
my gosh.
for me, it's like here's where I say the conundrum becomes even further of a conundrum where like I think the answer's in the past. I think the actual answer to your questions are in the past. Like, how do I get out of this? How do I not be in the rooftop with the Scandinavian girl? Maybe a few years ago, you should have done something different. You should have met
Yeah,
somebody else. You should have settled down. You should have had a different
you
choice.
gotta go back and think, when you made a right, you should have made a left.
You
And
made it,
now
but like you
we're
have to
alive.
think about that.
Yeah,
You have to think about that, but you literally try and pull depth from these scenarios that only you're going through, right? Like which is why people kind of which is why people have this picture of a Drake fan because it's just like these are the sort of depths of the aspirations of a specific type of individual. I would also like to be on that rooftop with that Scandinavian girl with 2 cigars and a drink, wondering about my love life. If I can ever settle down in my endless crusade of running the world and being extremely successful. What a conundrum this is. Like, who thinks about that? That's the difference. My nigga,
yeah. The weirdest thing that's happened is the people that align themselves with this dude. It's almost embarrassing, to be honest. If I was if I was the artist at the center of this fan base, right? Or if I was the cult like leader at the center of this community, right? I'm like, they've given me the worst, right? Like someone said, Legion of Lames, right?
your priorities are wrong, man.
Yeah,
Your priorities are wrong. You don't want
yeah.
to be like, sure, maybe you can smoke a cigar. Maybe you can be on the rooftop of Scandinavia, but how about with the person that you developed and grew up with and you became with and you're on your maybe you got kids around, maybe you're on a vacation with your family, maybe you've prioritized spending time with the people that you love and care about more than 13 girls this week and wondering where's my life going? S- where do you
At the
think?
very least, right? I think the way he lives, right? Um, maybe actually isn't the way the persona that he's built up, but the persona that he's built up has attracted a certain type of personality, right? That's just like, yo, these people stink. These people are the worst. I'm sorry to say it. Like,
It's
these
like
people,
it's you have kind of somehow co-opted yourself into that like culture of like it does feel like excesses of the manosphere because of the world that you paint, because of
right?
the because of the ambition that you paint in your music. Like, these are the ambitions that we should have. I should be in the be below room. I'm so
The
I don't
bathroom
know
is below.
I don't know where that is.
Yeah,
And then you insult me
yeah,
for going to dinner at freaking Applebee's. It's like,
yeah, yeah,
what do you want
yeah,
from me, man?
yeah,
It's so ridiculous, and it's like you can't possibly believe. But then again, which is why I bring it back to that, which is why I've referenced the I just want to be successful. I think he told us this very many years ago. In like the realest way, like it felt real back then because he wasn't that yet. But like I wish we could have warned him, hey man, maybe you just want to like maybe you just want to be successful enough, right? Maybe you just want to cap it off at a certain point. Think about your life, like maybe settle down. Think about building a family, like actually building a family and not having a son in the way that you had the son, and not like saying that, I'm sure there's like, you're okay with that situation now, not to bring any disparity on it, but from outward, kind of feels like the end result of that sort of lifestyle, a random kid with somebody that, what I'm saying, that you're not
yeah.
actually,
On their adult star.
not to, but regardless, like
I mean, but
it,
it all kind of adds up,
right,
unfortunately. Yeah.
right. Like maybe you wanted to do something else. Maybe you should have honed in on that suppose and frankly looked in depth into what is success. Maybe that should have been the
Or what to
discovery,
do.
what the
Yeah,
journey that you took. Or maybe that is the journey that he took, and this is the answer that he came upon. This is success to him.
my only issue with it, right? You know, is that the is a mob boss a philanthropist, right? Like the person that you've created in your music, right? And the person you may be, right? You may be like God's Plan Drake, where you're going out giving money to people, investing in your community, right? But the person that you've created in your music, and whoever that person, maybe that's who you actually are, that person that's just generous to a fault, right? Even with women, because I heard he just spends too much, right, on girls, right? Um,
But
it doesn't
that's a
align at
portion
all.
of that self-reflection.
It doesn't even make any sense, right? You have a video of you with a bunch of rifles and guns, right? Um, next to a
That's
pool, right? I actually really like that video. Um, but you also got to think about what you're saying here, right? You're painting the picture like you're a drug lord, basically, right? It's the same sort of atmosphere. It's like I'm in an episode of Narcos, right? But like you can't be, first of all, right? And second of all, you know,
you're
is that
DeGrasse.
what you meant? Is that what you meant when you said, "I just wanna be successful"? Is
Right.
that what you meant?
Is
Is
that
that
the image
really
of what you
yeah. Is that
to be
the
standing in
purity?
front of a legion of
Yeah.
guns next to a pool alone, having been that's a good question, actually. Having been mocked by most of the world, man. Most of the world, the earth, the whole earth. That's a lot of people. I mean, mind you, it's not everyone, you know? You're never gonna reach all 9 billion people. But that's still a good portion of the world, right? And a good portion of the world can be a few million people because that's a lot of people. They 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 actively insulted you. You've actively been publicly embarrassed. This rap beef was so big that the news reported on it. Just to add on, that they liked Kendrick more than they liked you. Is this the image of success that you want?
Mhm.
Is this the girl that maybe you fantasized on for a little bit? At least it felt like publicly Rihanna in the arms of somebody else, happy and at peace.
Yeah, like,
Is
and
is
and
is having the malice of one of history's greatest tennis players, having the malice of that person, is that what you want in your record? Is having the malice of what? The Weekend is probably the number one artist in the world right now. Is that the place that you want to be?
yeah,
Having the
who's
malice
ironically
equals all
maybe the closest thing to Michael Jackson we actually have,
ironically.
ironically, and then now you're beefing with Jay-Z and Beyonce? Really?
Lord, what?
Really?
Why not? Rick Ross, Meek Mill, Pusha T.
And 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 your whole thing is they started it? Like, he's literally saying, like, imagine on the playground, right? They started it.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's just like
You're
for me,
beefing with the same artist that inspired you.
right. Now your heroes don't like you. The culture rejects you. The artists who have been cornerstones of the culture reject you. DMX, before he died, rejected you. God rest his soul. That's crazy. Is this I just have to ask that question. And I think that's the point of self-reflection. But I don't know if he can or will make this decision. That's the problem that I think he's in. You have to, I mean, but like I
What
still
what
think
what
I think here's the other thing is like you have the capability, even in like the most shallow situations, because a lot of the situations you've described, the reason why we don't like them is because they're shallow by like just situationally. This is a shallow situation to be in. This is a shallow problem. Stop dating these girls. Stop. Don't do it anymore. You win. All your problems disappear. Stop dating these girls. Settle down. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that's the actual answer to it. But like that's most of your music. So I can only conclude maybe if you stopped, this would also stop. But that's not where you are. So essentially, you have the ability to create depth within these situations, these shallow situations, which I think speaks to your ability to actually create depth in general. God only knew what you could have done if you used it for good. God only knows look what how good you are in these circumstances. Which is why I can't sit here and say that Drake is bad. Because like
he's
he's
he's far from
actually good. I think the problem is it feels disappointing. It feels disappointing. You're actually good. So like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you doing this? You can do better than this. I think that's what literally everybody wants from you. We know you can like we show up because it's just like it feels like my comparison is usually Logic. It feels like a Logic situation. Every time I listen to Logic, I kind of wish I'm like I kind of hope like maybe he's good this time. Maybe he gets it this time. But like I think that's what it's felt like for the last few projects. For the last few projects, it's like we still listen because you're still Drake. You know, like at the end of that, like there was a line. I think you did a good job actually in what was it? Make Them Remember with your direct rebuttal to Kendrick Lamar. I just think you did pretty good there. I wish you had those bars earlier on, right? Especially when you finished off with like, even if I remove the braids, I won't fade. I mean, it's Drizzy Drake, you know? Like, it's the way you embellish the fact that, like, I am who I am, and I think you God, I lost my train of thought. But I think you have an understanding of yourself that that definitely makes it a disservice when you don't actually come to that full when it doesn't come to full fruition, when we don't see the full results of that. There's definitely you're still good. You're actually good at this. You've created a monstrous career. Like let's be perfectly clear here. We're gonna remember this dude forever. Let's be perfectly clear here. We're gonna remember this dude forever. Whether you like it or not, he's definitely going to be a name in hip hop forever. Congratulations.
And
But
music.
then you have say it again?
And music, he's gonna
You're right,
be
right, and
yeah,
music as well. But then you have all this dragging with you, which I just it can all really be resolved when you use those incredible talents of yours for good. Take some time. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what for you
just
to
for
do
a
at this
second
point.
though.
Like this is why I said the answer's in the past. I
For
wish
a
you
second though,
moved. I wish you
when
zigged
when
instead of that.
just as a playing devil's advocate a little bit, right? When you say use those powers for good, right? What does that mean? What does that look like?
Art. You he has an incredible ability. Like if I'm being as forget whatever the internet because the internet can be crazy sometimes, even though we're on it at this point. It can feel crazy sometimes. Like I've listened to a lot of music from across the board. And I've listened to all different levels of rap. To say that this dude is bad, it would be disingenuous. It would be legitimately disingenuous. He is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's his choices. I know you have the capability. You say, I don't want to do any of that deep introspective rap or whatever, and that's not what I'm here about. And I think that's the issue right there. Like you're like, I'm here to make rap music for the pure sake of capital, or not the pure
Or
sake. I want success. You know what I'm saying? And but
so
like
he
there's a realness to that
kind
too.
of
Like I don't say it again.
yeah. He wants success and he's making like good time. Like I just want to have a good time. Right?
Yeah, like for me, I have an image of a successful rapper in my head and I want to achieve that. And it's like there's a realness to that because it's like when you don't have, right? I think from that's why I say the problem the answers are kind of in the past because in the past there was a definitely you were more grounded, obviously. But like there's a realness in going back to to Drake's music where that aspiration towards we always love the aspirational artist, but that aspiration towards was something that we could definitely root for. We did want you to be successful as much as you wanted to be successful. But I think at the end of the day, it's what success means that I think has divided has split the um the the original image of that success and the aspiration towards it and the actual image that we're seeing of you right now, the actual person that you are. I think what I wanted you to do, right, which is everybody in their head wanted you to do, um, I think I wanted you to sure obviously be successful so that you can create good art, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Why
Like,
let me ask you this to push it a little further. Why create good art? What's the point?
at least for me, it's to I almost kind of think of it like a fictional sci-fi narrative. Um, I think you literally bring color to reality when you think you contribute to experience. Like we're here existing for a little bit of time, big time for us if you eat right and you take care of yourself. Um, but I think we're only here for a little bit of time, and feel like music should be a contribution towards that. It's a moment for both. Like it can pivot people. It can really pivot people. It can bring color to their life. It can save them from places where they're in. It can guide them through moments. Like it can really pivot people. It Life without music, in my opinion, isn't life. It doesn't make any sense. Like it doesn't make any sense. We even hear music even if there's no music around. We'll listen to the birds singing. We literally say the birds are singing, even though there's no like, you know, we don't they don't construct music the way we do and have like, chorus. Like they're still singing though. We
Your heart
literally
rhythm,
Your
like
heartbeat has rhythm.
it's a rhythm that, you know, uh, uh, uh,
You can
stay.
feel it.
Yeah,
Literally, when you want to do, you have to follow a
CBR.
rhythm. You
Yeah.
have to follow a rhythm. And music is so crucial to our existence. This is why I feel like I don't care what what genre you're coming from. I don't care what country you're coming from. I don't care. You just got to contribute. If you're making music, contribute to the experience. If it's happy music, even if the lyrics aren't necessarily the best, I still feel like you go back and listen to Bad Bunny's lyrics in that project that he did. Some of the lyrics are ridiculous. Some of the lyrics in a lot of like Hispanic
You
music.
actually went to the translator?
Yeah, like it could be, you just see those videos on Instagram, they could be a bit ridiculous, but like when you hear the music, the way they sing it, the language, and then just the full instrumental of it, it still kind of feels good. There's like there's I don't know if and that's the thing too, which is why I think it's so important from the artist's perspective what you contribute to music, because I don't think sometimes we can discern, right? It's hard to discern sometimes between sometimes it's really easy, but sometimes it's hard to discern between music that actually contributes and music that just kind of fills the space, right? It's hard to discern sometimes, which is why I think it's so important as an artist, whatever you do artistically, I don't even need it to be perfect. I just need you to feel it. Just feel it. Take that feeling, take that real emotion, take that truth, and it has to be true too. It has to be honest. And even if it's not perfect, you contribute by at least maintaining like a truth, like a you still put a good feeling out there or something that like was real to you, right? And I think like even if the lyrics are a bit out there, I think like a lot of that music just really feels good. And I'm sure when he was doing that music, he felt good. But I hope, then that's the thing too. I hope that the music that he was putting out there felt good, like was good. Like you actually felt good when you did it, or you felt something, or you contributed to it in that way. I think it's a responsibility as an artist to do things that are to 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 bring forth real things, to actually contribute in terms of feeling. And I don't think. Go ahead.
I was gonna add, I think, I think once, because the original question was kinda like, why create art? What is he supposed to do after he finally achieved being successful? And I think part of the reason, or at least one of my reasons, is to heal all the wrongs,
Mhm.
right? There's a healing element to creating art or
That's a
capturing.
portion of what I was referring to as well. That contribution.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
contribution. Please continue, please continue.
yeah, just that healing element of being able to explain or describe or capture something that everybody has felt or gone through, but nobody yet had the way to put it together until you came through, right? And I think especially when
Is
you
that
do get the other end,
sorry, go ahead. Is that,
when you do
Theodore?
get to the yeah, that's Theo being Theo, but when
Sorry,
you
good
do
thinking.
get to the other end of the journey, right, you have a responsibility to elaborate,
Mm.
right? What the hell happened, right? What
And you can
you
and if you're doing it
experienced.
right, which is why
Yeah,
and thank you for saying that, because I think when you're doing it right, which is why I say you have to feel it, because it's like it has to be true, you you actually bring light to experiences, right? Like, it's both a ground feeling of, like, you have to base it in truth, and you have to, um, be able to convey that feeling, because it's both it really helps guide people through that experience as well. And it relates to them with music, probably one of the most hypnotic things that we have out there, right? Literally hypnotic things that we have out there, um, that if you irresponsibly, if you irresponsibly put out put out their music that of narratives that aren't true, whether it's narratives that are true out there for other people, but they're not true of you, in which there's fabrications of these events that in the details don't work, but you present them through the music. What you've done is now you've put something out there that is hypnotizing people, but with what? What is it alluding to? What narrative is it pulling? Like, what is it what sort of narrative is interwoven into the thing that you've put out there that they're attaching themselves to? And if it's something false, you're not helping. It's already confusing enough out there. Like, you're not helping. And I think the whole
creating confusion.
thank you.
You're creating
Thank you.
confusion.
You're creating confusion, and you're
Yeah.
putting it in one of the most hypnotic forms of expression in the world. The most hypnotic forms of expression in the world. Music is literally one of the most important things to us as a species.
It's kind of like being like a housewife, but rapping about the lifestyle of being a stripper, right? It's like you're leading all of these people off a cliff while you're safe and sound.
And then on top of that, this is where we get mad. You're very convincing.
Yeah.
You're very convincing. He's good at it. That's what I mean. That's why I say use your powers for good. You're very convincing. Like, you're really good at this. There's a reason why you're as popular as you are. Imagine if you told the truth. Imagine if you gave credit where credit was due. Imagine if you said, I'm huge now, so I have to collaborate with a variety of these other artists, but I'm going to uplift these artists because they're incredible collaborators. Imagine where Quentin would be if we knew of Quentin and his contribution to your work as early as it was, as early as his contribution first started. Imagine
Mhm.
what that would have done for his life, what it was done with his family. Imagine what that would have done for him. Only for us to hear it as an afterthought. And like, he made some of your biggest songs. This shit that we claim you legendary for.
Probably didn't get
That's
any piece of the publishing or the masters.
that's so disappointing. What do you like? For me, it's just like, and then your response is like, I did him a favor,
Allegedly. Let me just say allegedly.
allegedly.
Yeah,
But then your
allegedly.
response in the track is like, I did him a favor. What do you think we're gonna think of that?
I kinda likened it to you know what's going on as well. Um, Michael Jackson's music is having, like,
A
a
resurgence? That's been
crazy
great.
yeah. Like,
Crazy.
Billie Jean is number 1, right? Um,
Make a good song, it's good forever.
And I'm just thinking to myself, all of my favorite Michael Jackson songs are super, um, substantive, right? Like, "Will You Be There?"
Yeah, "Will You
Or,
Be There" could be my favorite one. The melody on that song
that's
is
my
so
number 1 right there.
the melody on that song is so magical. It's literally like that's a once in a lifetime melody. That's insane. I can't believe
But
that song
but you
exists.
literally have a song called, "Heal the World," "Black and White," "They Don't Really Care About Us," right?
Mhm. Mhm. Look at that. Look at those contributions.
A single song like that in Drake's discography, and I think
It'll make like
my
a like an odd comment or 2 about black people or about,
yeah,
like, black issues. Like
I'm pretty
once in a
sure
blue moon.
Michael Jackson, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's only released, like, professionally, like,
100 and
150.
something songs.
Yeah,
Drake
Michael
released more than half of his discography in one night,
in one night, yeah, in
but it's
one
not
night, he released
impressive.
a third of Michael Jackson's discography.
Right, and
Um,
it's not and the problem is it's not impressive. That's what we've been trying to tell you for so many years. That's not impressive. Your
he re
speed your speed to do
150.
that, it's like it's impressive in the wrong way, like and I think that I feel like you just took all the problems that I have with hip hop currently, and they just kinda unrolled it in one night. 40
In one
something
night
tracks?
in one night, like, the thing is the mindset the move comes in from, "I'm going to flood the zone so I'm everywhere," was the mindset, right? Release 15 music videos, 43 songs, 3 albums. This is gonna be the rapping album. This is gonna be
The dance album?
the R&B album. This is gonna be the dance album. Then, I'm gonna get the rap fans, but I'm also going to, do it right in the beginning of the summer. So I'm the summer guy, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm gonna have
"Oh,
the whole summer.
what are we doing this for?" Like,
Yeah. I just wanna be successful. He said it. He just wants to be rich, man. He made his choice. I think it was, I think I've seen people break this down in the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef where they made 2 different choices. They made 2 different choices. It's really a clash of the 2 choices, and I'm glad Kendrick's choice won. Well, the reason why I'm so happy about that because like, I think both it preserves a lot of the greater elements of the soul of hip hop, but I also think, in artistry, it preserves something really deep and profound too, in the sense that like I choose to be successful and I choose to be an artist, don't mind you, but I choose to choose the art over the success. So if people don't like, I choose to choose the art over the success. I'm grateful for the success, but I'll choose to choose the art over the success. Mind you, Kendrick is a very good artist too, so he's become very successful. So thank God for that for him. But it's never been a doubt in my mind that this dude has chosen the art before he's chosen the success. It doesn't feel like a formula. Like, because if it felt like a formula, he would have done Good Kid, Mad City, and then we would have heard 3 or 4 more Good Kid, Mad Cities. Have we heard 3 or 4 more Good Kid, Mad Cities? Nope. We only heard 1. There's only one of that. And then there's only one of To Pimp a Butterfly. And then there's only one of Damn. And then there's only one of Section 80. There's also only one of freaking Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. It's all been different. And all he had to do, and it's a real simple process too. Not simple, mind you, but it's from the artistic perspective, keep my craft in the highest level that I possibly can, tell my story along the way. Remember where I came from, take a good look at where I am, and challenge my future and present that all in the art. The self-reflection was there. He's never forgot that he's come from Compton, California. He's never forgot that kid. He's never forgot that dream. He's never forgot what it's meant. And then on top of that, he He worries about the future as well, like any human being would. You know, I'm worried at what was that song? Fear? Excellent. From what? From 7 to 17 to 27. Excellent. I'm worried about the who isn't? Thank you for being human about that. I'm worried that my success is gonna disappear. Hendrix is over here. I mean, Drake is over here on the other side being like, I'm worried this Brazilian model doesn't love me the way I would like to be loved. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Where Kendrick is over here thinking like, will I be able to continue this? Will I be able to carry my family forward? And then when he's in Mr. Round the Big Steppers, he starts questioning the amount of success that he's gotten. Do I deserve all this? I can't save people's lives. I'm just a person. I can't answer all your political issues. I'm watching the world just like anybody else. What do you know? This feels human. This sounds relatable. These are all different subject matter that have nothing to do with a lifestyle, that the only depth that I can take from it is, am I on the yacht today or am I on the plane today? Who does that relate with? So like, even if Kendrick's is in like that's the thing too. Even if Kendrick is in a place, even if Kendrick is in a place where I don't know about what it would mean to have to make some of those decisions, or have to think about your level of success and how that relates to your family and how that relates to your impact on the culture, because you worried about those things and how that relates to all these different things and all these different things. Albeit I don't understand that because I'm not in the middle of those decisions. I can understand, I think we can all understand the struggle between something like that. It would seem like these are the sort of things that you may go through if you're really worried about what you say, how you say it, who you say it to, and the impact that it has. You're worried about the consequences of your choices. You're worried about the consequences of your words. But you're also an artist and you wish to express yourself as much as you can. And you're also a person, so you cannot respond. You cannot make all the right choices. You see how that's all multi-layered when Kendrick just says simple things that like are just human. And then
Uh,
like at the same time, he just understands as well. You know what? I should also keep this entertaining, which I'm like, absolutely. Pick a good beat, get a good rhythm going, tell the truth of what I'm experiencing. Maybe sometimes the rhythm won't be as like catchy and like in the pocket with the mainstream as, you know, as the mainstream requires it to be, but I can at least make it entertaining. I can at least make it exciting to a certain extent. And he's really good at that. And the results speak for themselves. Those are the things that would lead, those are the sort of thoughts that I don't think Drake is having. I don't think he is. Um, he could be, but then I'm like, if you are, I feel like you wouldn't write the way that you're writing. So if you are, though, it could be two things, or maybe just one thing. If you are thinking of this, then it could be that you're just making the choice to never speak on these things and to refocus again on some sort of depth of a rich person's experience. You know, like some as much depth as I can gather within the lifestyle choices that I've made. Staying with my boys, loyalty, you know, how they're all against me, you know, how I gotta, you know, power and this game is wicked, you know, even though you're like the number one artist in the world. Like this, you know, this industry or whatever amount of depth that you can collect within the experiences that you choose to live. Remember that whatever level of depth that you can collect within the experiences that you choose to live. You know what's interesting? Feels like Kendrick's choices allow for deeper depth of experience somehow. I don't know. Maybe it feels as though if you kind of evolve and question the decisions that you've made and how it impacts people, instead of saying that like instead of your only depth being like the money I gave her made her more complacent. That's your impact on people? She acted a certain way now that the money's come in? Man, I thought she loved me. What are we And then it's the fact that, like, you also recognize that you're near 40. You're near 40. I don't know, man. I think, long story short, I think honestly, I despite all my complaints, and that's the depth of the content, which I think content always matters, regardless of what you think about it. What the internet tends to think about it, what the current maybe landscape of music thinks about it, because we're all chasing the melody versus the lyrics, which I hope I'm seeing that like Kendrick and his influence has definitely shifted that sort of perspective, at least to a certain extent. Um, I think depth, meaning, detail, feeling, I think all those things still matter. And we've gotten to a point where the choices that you've made have led us to the lyrics that we have. And despite how good you are within that atmosphere, it doesn't take away the fact that like a lot of these songs, I don't need a rap verse to rebuttal half this shit. Most people don't need a rap verse to rebuttal most of the things you just said. That's the problem. Kendrick makes you think about it. Kendrick makes you have discussions about it at the very least. Because he's also questioning the same things in the way that he questions them and in the depth that it requires question. But not you. Anyway, I liked Iceman to a certain extent. I think have BT, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I think that one is extremely forgettable. And then I think the dance one, I think it's fine. I think that one's going to be fine for the most part in terms of like, I think in the right places, like people are just going to play those songs. Like, I think you're correct in that sort of dance vibe to a certain extent. I will never understand a Sexy Red feature. No offense to Sexy Red. I will never understand it. I'm sorry. Ever. From either Drake or anybody else, I just will never
I mean,
understand it.
I get how he's trying to use her voice to and
And sorry I
her.
dragged on there for a bit.
No, it's all good. I get how he's trying to use her voice and her character and I guess to represent a certain cul- part of the culture. Um, but yeah, I think my general feeling after all was said there is just you know, yeah, there's a little bit of disappointment, but it's just a um a sort of longing for what could potentially be, you know, that talent plus the added layer of meaning
Mm.
that we may never fully achieve or experience from Drake. Um,
Or
and
at the
maybe
very
that's
least
just
what he used to be.
what?
Or at the very least what he used to be when he was in that aspirational phase. It's like but, like, he even mentioned it too, like, it's so interesting because like, I think there's always a certain element I think there's always a certain element of him that
You're
does
too
have
far from the
sorry. I think there's
yeah.
always a certain element of him that always has an understanding of, of himself that just makes it a bit more disappointing, 'cause he did mention I don't know exactly what song, and I'm definitely paraphrasing the line, but he has definitely mentioned that, they only supported me when I wanted to be successful, and now they don't support me when I am successful. But I also think one of the reasons why is because like, you're not bashful, but, like, not in the sense that, like I'm not saying, like, be shy about it. It doesn't feel like any, like there's no grace about it. There's no, like, "I'm thankful," you know? "Thank God for this,
I
and I
mean,
appreciate."
we don't I don't think there's any problem with supporting successful people. We support LeBron, we support Serena, we support these people, right? I think it's what you stand for when you get there,
Right.
right? And I just think there's a certain frequency that people who are pushing for greatness but are not self-aggrandizing
Right.
um hit, right? And then there's also this like it's more than the commercial appeal and a commercial success that I'm going for. Like I'm in it because I love it, not because I need
Right.
to protect this empire.
Right.
And I think,
But like
you know
that's
when you feel it.
yeah. That's what's why which is why I also emphasize that like like that image the battle of that of the image of what he represented, and it's like the most toxic form of it, to be perfectly honest, in combination with what I mean, versus what Kendrick represented. I think that was why it was so crucial too, because you embellished. There's nothing wrong with the hustle culture in hip hop. As a matter of fact, it's necessary to a certain extent. It definitely adds to. There's a certain element of the craft. There's a certain element of the culture that does support and is guided by the hustler. But I think what you embellished was the height of what? Yeah, I don't want to say capitalism. The height of like it felt like the height of greed. The only point of this, the like you're it feels like your thesis statement under hip hop was the only point of this is the image of the rapper at the end of the day. Boss level, womanizer, you know, head of the posse, mob ties, all those like the quintessential all the quintus and the worst portion of it is it's like it maybe it'd be understandable if you came from something like that of a background, and then even people who come from something like that of a background don't like necessarily behave that way, um which is ironic, uh but like
Yeah, they don't. They don't.
they
They
don't
don't. They
necessarily
don't
behave in
want
that
people to
specific
know
way.
on every song that
Say it again?
they're within a criminal element. They don't want people to know that they're within a criminal element or
Well, they
operating in
definitely
a criminal.
allude to it. They definitely
Yeah,
allude
but
to it.
but
But
like
but here's the
you
difference. I
don't want
think
people to know, right?
right. I
Because
think
if
the
people
difference is
know, you can't continue.
right, but I
Yeah.
think the difference is they're rapping about their lifestyle. Like they're rapping about like something that like this is just who I am, right? Perfect, imperfect as it is, as not necessarily the best as I think it is. I still think like at the very least, they're still rapping about something that's real to them. You're just embellishing upon the worst aspects of that image. You're taking the drug, like the drug kingpin, the crime boss, the dangerous. I've got 13 switches and 15 nozzles, and you know, I got a whole camp of people ready to do anything for me at any second. You took all the worst aspects of that and you embellished in that when it's just like, but like you're from Degrassi. You're from Canada. Like we've heard your mom speak. Where I'm not saying that like let's say you didn't necessarily meet people at a certain point that had those ties and they promised you that sort of protection and maybe even like you could command somebody to do that if you wanted to, but like why would you regress? That's a regression. That's not a progression. Why would you regress into that? Why would you become somebody that's in that when you didn't have to be in that? This is what we're talking about. This is it's the meta aspect of the fact that like this is what you think a rapper is. And as somebody who Kendrick who comes from places like that, is like I know those people. They're not like this. They're not like this, you know? Maybe certain elements of them are this, but like they're not like this. And then on top of that, you feel like a caricature of it. Only the highlights. Only the highlights of those things. Only the highlighted, aspects of those behaviors. In all the details, you're not from there, you know? Like when we go back to the stories you tell of your own life, you're not from there. In the details of their lives, it kind of gives credence to some of the high points of those lyrics where they rap about like that sort of lifestyle. When they go into the details of it, because that's what they know, right? Which the detail in combination of those high points lead them to behaviors, lead them to characteristics, lead them to personalities that are a certain way that you captured, you honed in on, you understood, and then you created a caricature of. You created a caricature of that. And then you did it so well. You're really good at that. Like you're an actual chameleon, which is why I refer back to where I'm saying like you're talented, dude. To be able to actually do that, to be able to understand that, to be able to understand those, to be able to to jump from one person's style to another person's style to another person's style and like still make it sound at least decent to a certain extent, right? Or to be able to play in their world at least to a certain extent, albeit it's still not real, it's not true, it's fake. But to be able to play in their world in the way that you were able to play in their world, it's a talent. And then here we are, like the ability to do that, and this is what you do with it, right? It does feel like you used your powers for evil, like you became a villain in that sort of way. But like in real life, like real villains, we don't want them to win. Like real villains aren't cartoonish, like I'm gonna go rob a bank while folding their hands like this. Real villains get accusations like the ones that you just got in the rap beef that felt closer to what you could possibly be than what you accused Kendrick of, which is like pedos. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I don't know if we can actually say that online, but like, what is it? PDF files. But like, those are villains in real life, and people like, albeit it was fake, mind you, albeit there's no, that's not a proven allegation. Allegedly. The worst portion of it is, and I've mentioned this definitely before, is that it felt closer to being real to the person that you've been presented as for the past few years than what you accused Kendrick of being. That felt outrageous. The accusation of him cheating versus you doing this. And that should be the shock. Have I led a lifestyle that's left people wondering, like, are you actually like sleeping with little girls? Is there enough footage of me out there, enough content of me out there, enough shit in my lyrics out there for them to actually
It didn't
fully
have
get
to
that
be
narrative in there?
it didn't have to be little girls. I think that's part
Or
of
not little
the
girls. I mean, like,
misconception
say it again?
that, I think that's part of the misconception that he thinks that when that was said, right, or his camp or the people who support him think that when that was said, they mean like you're, like Epstein or one of these people, right? It's bad enough that the girls are barely legal.
Mm,
That's
right.
bad,
That's bad
right?
enough. Right. Too
Yeah,
young.
yeah,
Even if they're like, they're too
and
young.
that's the problem. The problem is that that's true, right? The problem is like they think that the most cartoonish version of it is the truth, or is what was being accused It was what people were accusing them of, right? No, it's that the girls that are showing up to your parties are 17 and 18. Some just graduated, some are in their senior year, some are freshmen,
Mm.
right? And they're showing up to your parties, right? That's bad enough. It doesn't have to be, cartoonish in its manifestation. Um, and I think, unfortunately, right, those accusations are true, right? Or allegedly, right? Unfortunately, you don't have to look far and wide to find evidence of that, right? It's right there online. It's in the comment section. It's in the storyboards. It's on the Reddit forums, right? Um, People have stories of going to a Drake party at 17 in Toronto. And that can never be true of certain individuals or certain artists because they don't even throw house parties,
That's what I'm
right?
saying. It's those
So,
choices. It's those choices there. And mind you, not to say that you can't throw a house party. It's not to say that you can't throw a party as an artist. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, man. It's both. Is that your lifestyle? Like, how often are you throwing parties? Maybe you should cut down. Maybe we shouldn't know you for parties. At this point, you should be, especially with Diddy, you should be stepping away as far as you possibly can for having like a label of like, I don't know, Drake parties. Like, you don't want those two words put together anymore. Diddy has ruined that. So you kind of want to separate that you don't want to separate yourself and Drake parties. And it's like, I mean, mind you, it can be a good thing. Let's say a Drake party is a really good thing, but like, I don't know. At this point in time, it's not necessarily the best, and I don't. It sucks that it feels like that's more true to you than anything else. And I think that's the point of self reflection. I don't know. I guess that also asks the question of like, I may say that like, that's the point of self-reflection. You should probably be thinking about maybe you shouldn't be throwing so many parties, or maybe you shouldn't be living this sort of lifestyle. But going back, what if to you that's life? Like that's what that's what success is. You know what I mean? That's the
well,
final
clearly it is. I think there's really not a lot more to say, right?
right,
I
right.
think
Yeah, that's
clearly to this person,
yeah,
right, that is, and he had the opportunity to come out and tell you that it's, victory to me is a homemade meal with, you know, my my family and my friends, right? Victory to me is a quiet walk in the park. Victory to me is um, being able to disappear, right? No, that's not
right,
what victory is to this person. Victory
right.
is um, feeling,
Domination and
yeah,
domination and silence from any dissenters. Um, and I'm not saying like you shouldn't have dissenters, but you might have too many dissenters. That's the that's the issue, right? It's not like Kendrick doesn't have people who are like, I would never listen to Kendrick, or could swear they dislike Kendrick up and down even after they listen to him. But
he
those are
doesn't
few,
have to respond to all of them, and I think
right?
that's
Those are few and far in between, and
we
their
don't need
voices
to
are
ever
so
know what he really thinks about them.
right, right,
We
and then
can
their
go the
voices
rest
are
of
so
their lives
shallow.
wondering.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
but Drake has a need for the people who he doesn't like to know, and the people who have stood against him to be one upped, right? Um, to a ridiculous fault. And yeah, it's become basically the main thematic point of this entire project, right? That is what it would have been cool if he made if it was like this wouldn't have been a good name for a project, but if it was like Mr. Freeze and you were basically um telling the story of how we made a villain out of you and you're not actually a villain, right?
Mm, would we buy into that?
No, we wouldn't,
Would
right?
we buy into
But
that?
it would have been a concept, right? And an interesting one.
Okay, okay. So because Mr. Freeze, right, Mr. Freeze in the narrative, he became Mr. Freeze because he was trying to figure out how to heal his wife, right? So the narrative there would be, I mean, albeit, I guess maybe Drake can find a way to play a girl into the narrative, I guess. But I guess the idea there is just like, I was just I was trying to do something you didn't understand or you didn't know about that made me, in your eyes, a villain. My only focus has been on the people that I love, maybe something like that. But sure, maybe, maybe. But I feel as though,
Because the reason I say that is because what are we left with Iceman? It's just essentially, you know, the I'm like literally I think on his chain it says I'm colder now. Like I'm like there was one picture of the chains, the owl chains that he gave all of his people, and it says the Cold War is over and it made us even colder. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what? Now what? You know what I'm saying? You
well, look,
you get
if
yeah,
you go back to his narrative, he's just been it's just been a constant acceleration of responses. Like, I
but
remember it's been going back for
you're
quite some time. Like, it's just an acceleration of responses.
I guess the point I'm trying to make though is like you're colder to what end,
Right.
right? Like what is what is the point of all this, right? It's like, well, now I'm the undisputed best. For what? Because you're not the undisputed best.
And you're not, right.
Yeah.
Like, you're not.
Right? You're not the undisputed best. So why are you colder now? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the just nothingness, right, of the end of the narrative he's painting, right? It's just like, the purpose of all this was so I can make $1 billion to cure cancer. It's like, no, the
No, it wasn't.
purpose of all this was to inflate my character to the point of it's just like keep inflating that ego of mine, right? To as
Well, through my
far
money, through my
as
wealth,
yeah.
through my money, through my wealth, through just keep
He
capital,
he
capital,
has never
capital.
even said he has never even said the closest I heard to the album is I just want to be free, but I don't know if I believe that, right? He's never even said I just want to achieve peace, right? The type of peace that you find, right, after you snap your fingers and you go retire on the farm like Thanos. You know what I'm saying? He's not like, I needed to do all this because at the end of it, I just needed to hang it up and say, "I've found peace. I snapped my fingers.
I've
Right.
made the
I
works
did
that
it."
are made. I've
Yeah.
contributed to the art that I've needed to contribute. No, it's been to mostly fat in your
Just I'm
pockets.
just gonna let's keep it going. Like, I'm just like, "What the
Yeah,
fuck?"
well, yeah, right. To what
Yeah.
end?
And honestly, that makes me think,
Well, I mean, he would say to be the greatest of all time. What did
but
I
you
say by
can't
that
be.
judgment?
But you can't be, right? The reason I say you can't be is because, um, I think he even accepted, right, that he can only be the greatest of all time in numbers only, right?
Right.
You can't be the greatest of all time at this point, and I think you know that, right? So you just want to be the most powerful indefinitely. Um, and honestly, that kind of worries me because I'm like, there's always a hard learned lesson, right? When you don't learn your lesson, right? And the hard earned lesson was supposed to be Kendrick, right? He was supposed to be the lesson, right? But you didn't even learn that lesson. You don't think any of it that was real. You think it was like, and it was
Or
actually very insightful when he said this in the project when he said, my paranoia is making me connect dots, right?
hmm,
He said something along those lines, right? And I'm like, okay, your paranoia is making you connect dots that are not there, right? So
you know what I'm
you're
saying?
basically saying, okay, I'm in a form of denial. And he said, like, I'm in super denial, right? This is the symptom of denial, but it's like, but I want to remain in denial, right? None of it was real. They had to create a entire straw man, right, in order to take me
Yeah, I think
down.
he was saying
Yeah.
I think he was saying the "I'm in super denial" sarcastically, like, now they're saying I'm in super denial. It's like,
No, no, no. He said it. He said it, and these are the moments of like self-awareness.
I don't think he
What's
was
the
being
word?
self-aware in that line. I think he was like I think he's aware of the criticism, but he doesn't know how like it's not there's no reflection on it. There's no question of am I in super denial. There's like I'm not. That's his response. I'm not in super denial.
He said they say conclusions were drawn, but I'm in super denial. Okay, you might be right because the
I'm
next line he
saying.
says, "What is a loss? I'll be damned if I'm losing it now." But I took it to mean at the time when I heard it in real time. This isn't make them remember, right? I took it to mean that, you know, um, like, yeah, I don't believe the conclusions that they're drawing. I'm in super denial. Like you know, for better or for worse, I don't believe the conclusions, right? Um,
Well, there's definitely an element of that too. Right. Well, I mean, maybe to a certain extent, but I think he's just like he's looking at them like confused, like, what do you mean I lost? Which is why I'm just like, what reality are you living in? Like, I think it's literally that line is literally like trying to say, like, what do you mean I lost? What are you guys talking about? Were we watching the same thing? Which I don't even know what to make of that because
he's trying to,
is that forced? Is that forced or is that we've been talking about it all for damn near 2 hours, but is that forced or is that just how his state of being is? Say it again?
but No, I said and we'll be done talking about it soon, but, is that forced? What was your question?
I'm saying is that perception forced? Like, is, like, when he says, when I'm interpreting that line, I think he's saying, what do you mean I lost? And I'm saying that, um, you know, is his is he actually in complete belief that he did not lose that battle? Or is he forcing that narrative because that's the narrative he has to go? What is the level of his own self? I think I guess what I'm saying is the level of his self-awareness there only alludes to the level of my disappointment. Because regardless, um, if you're aware of, let's say, the fact that you did lose, but then at the same time you continuously rapping about the fact that you didn't, then that's a huge disappointment. That's what I mean by using your powers for evil. You know, you're here, but you're just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm already here. I'm already in the depth of whatever this is. I'm just gonna continue the narrative. Or are you actually in belief that that happened? Which is like, it's a different level of disappointment. It's just like, maybe your self-awareness is only as deep as those shallow moments where you're, you know, in these like odd scenarios, in these odd relationships, if they're real even, in these odd sexual entanglements, in these odd um freaking R&B songs, and like, you actually believe this moment that I'm in is deep, right? This moment that I'm in is actually a real moment, because he's good at it. He's good at like embellishing in those lines that, like, he'll say a slick bar about, like, you know, a combination of her not being who I think she is, in combination of with us being in a vacation or some sort of setting somewhere. Like, I'm somehow combining richness. I'm somehow combining like the loss of love somehow, or like the lack of connection in combination with the fact that, like, I have this girl. I just have these endless girls. Like, so I'm also embellishing in my own uh Casanova, I can get anything that I want ways, while also trying to play in the fact that, like, but I also wish I had love. And is this deep for you? Or is this deep for you? Or do you know that this is a shallow moment? Let's first identify that this is a shallow moment. Like, if you were talking about, like, maybe I've made the wrong decisions in the string of my relationships, noticing your patterns is a point of self-reflection, versus noticing, like, she didn't really treat me the way that I wanted to be treated after I spent a bag on her. Is this real love? It's just like, that's not is that really the frequency that you're in? Or do you know that this isn't an in-depth frequency, and you still go into it anyway, deciding that my vision of success is this. So, you know, I continue to I continue to display this, to what's the word? To portray this. This is what I continue to portray because this is what my vision of success is. But I still have a certain element of artistic understanding. So I'll still say something at least moderately in depth, at least moderately, you know, despite what people think about his lyrics, I still think he's like decently good at that. We'll say something at least moderately in depth that still feels engaging to a certain extent. While I have this incredible ability to make music, I'll also do that as well and create this moment that feels interesting, at least to a certain extent, while still embellishing on all the major talking points of the more mainstream rap, like the money, the power, the success, and how I'm even in this scenario in the first place where I'm under the sun and she's not really it's not really love, but like, at least I'm under the sun. At least, I got this girl out here all the way from like Florida, or I found her in California and I flew her out to Turks and Caicos or something. It's just like, what's the truth here? Is it a deep level of self-awareness? And I think that would, like I said, yeah, I think that would also align with what my level of disappointment is. Cause it's like, I kind of think you are aware of these things. I kind of think you know what you're doing. But then at the same time, if you don't, then that's even more. It's like I don't know what's more disappointing in a sense, but like both are disappointing. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm making any sense here.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think the worst parts about it are not the parts of it. I think we've accepted the talks, the scenarios he paints in his music about his relationships. I don't think that's the worst part about
Mhm.
the lack of self-awareness that is going to be his undoing, right? I think the worst parts about it are um not the so someone said Drake went from making songs about how all these women broke his heart to how all these guys broke his heart, right? I think it's the the combativeness with the other artists and competitors in his um journey, right?
Mhm.
And his denial about that, right?
Right.
He
Well, but then
got 2
that
boxes on
also that
if he
also
just
that I
stuck to his if he just stuck to the surface level music for the ladies, nobody would care, to be honest, right?
sure,
You
sure,
could
yeah,
do that
true,
forever. Nobody's gonna be
true.
like, "Oh, what are you doing, bro?"
Right,
Right?
right,
It's
right.
gonna
Well,
be
I think what I
fine.
was
Fine.
alluding
Like,
to
yeah.
I think what I was alluding to was the fact that like, what's real with this dude? And I think that's the conundrum you gotta solve in. What's real? I'm using that as a portion of his music to allude to the fact that like how self-aware of you are how self-aware are you of the things that you've done against these other rappers as well? Using that like, are you self-aware of the fact that you've made all these decisions and you've ended up in these relationships, or are you only self-aware up to the fact that like, you can only dig deep enough to you know
So are you
have all
saying,
the
like, is he genuine about his ignorance,
right.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, that's fair enough. I yeah, I mean, I think he
like, do you actually believe that, like, in all the scenarios you have against these people, they've only ever wronged you? It doesn't seem like from outward, maybe we're wrong. Maybe every single person that he's mentioned so far has been, like, truly treacherous. Like, you know,
I
it
think
just
it's
doesn't make any sense, does it?
I think it's the sort of thing where, you know, he would rather believe this, right? He would rather believe that he was the victim in the scenario. Um, there was a part in the first song when he was talking about whenever 40 OVO 40 says to him, like, dig deeper, right? He hates those 2 words,
Right, right, right,
right?
right.
He
He
doesn't
just like
even want to. He doesn't
right,
even want to
right.
explore deeper than that,
Right, right.
right?
Doesn't want to unpack. Right, right. They said that in one line. I don't want to do psychedelics because I don't want to unpack or something like
Yeah,
that. Um,
and you can barely pay attention to his therapist because she's too hot. And I don't,
What? That was
you didn't
wild.
hear that?
That's so unnecessary.
You didn't hear that? You
I no,
heard
I
that?
heard that. No, I heard that
Yeah.
line, and
I
I
I
was o
I think it was a metaphor, right? I think it was a metaphor for why he and I think that is a level of self-awareness, like, I can understand I know what DMT is, I know what psychedelics are, I
mhm,
know what therapy is,
mhm.
right? But this is why I don't like to go any deeper than that, right? I'm afraid of what might actually be around the corner, right? So yeah,
Which is why just
I would rather just get on these niggas about, you
right,
know,
which
things
is
that
which is probably why I say that the conundrum is somewhere in the past. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that, like, Drake can't make any changes going forward, nor can he ever be accepted again or, not accepted, but, like, let's say, like, more praised um, than scorned. I'm not saying that that's not possible, but I do feel as though a lot of the answers to these questions of why we're here and what to do, I think a lot of those questions lie in the past. Like different choices should have been made because now you're at the point where whether it's true or not, you're saying lyrics that indicate that like unpacking is so, let's say, detrimental to your psyche that you'd rather not. You'd rather load up the clips and start firing in all sorts of directions, whether whether Rihanna or anybody else is to blame for any of the situations that you were entangled with them and all the ways that it went wrong, whether or not, you know, you're the actual arbiter of these situations or not. It doesn't matter because you're not going to unpack it. You're here now, and now the next move is to just fire at all cylinders in all directions because and then try and paint the narrative that like I did kind of like the allusion back to I got enemies, I got a lot of enemies or I got a lot of enemies, but it's just like, I don't necessarily, nobody's convinced that like all the problems are with everybody else and not you. I'm just a guy just trying to make some set some and just trying to gain some success for me and my family and my mom and trying to be out of here and just trying to be with my boys. Me and my boys are just trying to live a good life. We're just trying to party every weekend, with random girls. We're just trying to live that beautiful, successful life. And it just feels like everybody's against me. Why is everybody against me while I'm trying to live this like life of success? Isn't this the success that we all want? and we're all looking at him like, I think the issue there is, as I was describing, like you don't want to unpack the fact that maybe you did do some stuff to them. And it's just like maybe you should unpack it before it's too late. It's never too late to like actually do that stuff. And mind you, I think the problem is he's in such a deep state of that like, maybe it just feels wrong to go in that direction at this point.
maybe
Maybe he is that self-aware. Who knows?
yeah. I think that's all I have.
We didn't even rate the other projects. Well, I think we did partially.
We sprinkled we sprinkled their
Been in
you
there.
could tell
Most
essentially what we
mostly
think.
relatively amateur.
Unrateable.
Well, say it again.
No, I don't think they're meant to be like, um
Deep reads.
yeah, deep they're not meant to be deep reads, yeah, they're not meant to be really rated, to be honest.
No, no, yeah. I don't
I
think they're
think he
like
was fine with everybody just, focusing
on
their
Iceman.
critique on Iceman. Um Yeah.
I do like that. I think that was pretty hard where he was just where, he does it so well too. I do think it's pretty hard that line where he's just like, I am a BTC. That was oh shit,
Mm.
that's pretty hard. That's pretty hard. The way he says it too, I'm like, hey, you're good at this. I don't know if it was you who wrote that. I don't know who was on your team who wrote that portion or who did that portion of the song and the beat in the background. That beat was hard too. I like that beat. Like I do like there was a chill to that to the project, like a chill to it. The sound that he chose, that sort of electronic sort of
Mhm.
sound, that sort of sound throughout the project to a certain extent, especially in that song there. I do kind of see where you get the idea of that like being like a chill. That's like a chilly sound. I think it's really on the surface, it's all super cool. Like on the surface it's super cool, but when you get into the lyrics, it's just like, no, but like this is dope. It's dope in a certain it's a dope to a certain point.
Yeah,
Like it's
it
dope
was a
to a
really
certain
cool soundscape that
right. Like it's dope to a certain
honestly
point.
gives it a very unique feel compared to other projects that
Right,
he's done.
right. I think you're
I
really
almost
trying
feel
to
like
build
it
this
was
sound for some time.
almost a concept. It was
Mhm.
almost like a concept if he, you know, elaborated on Iceman being more than just I'm colder now, right? Um,
Yeah. Well, he doesn't know
yeah.
how to add that third layer. You just can't add that third layer. That would require certain movements of the bars, certain narratives that I don't think he knows how to do that, or I don't think maybe anybody on his team knows how to do that. Um,
I don't think he's
so
concerned. I don't think he's concerned with that.
no, that's the thing too.
I don't think
That's
he
the
thinks that's
motivation.
I think he
Yeah,
thinks that's
I don't think it's like something
how he
that's like,
would want
we
to
need to add a
know how to
third
work
layer
it.
to this.
Yeah.
Well, definitely an interesting moment in hip hop. I do think, my overall conclusion, despite not necessarily perfectly conveying every thought there, I think my overall conclusion, I think there's definitely coolness. There's a coolness to Iceman up to a certain point, then the ice starts to melt. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that that's where he is. Um, I think that's like what Kendrick and all these people are trying to let you know, like dig a little deeper. Um, dig a little deeper. I don't know what that looks like, but dig a little deeper. And now you clearly mentioned that, but still, it doesn't necessarily mean that like just because you mention it, like you shouldn't. Like now that I've mentioned that people have told me to dig a little deeper, including 40, you know, now I've dug deeper. It's like no, like you still need to dig deeper. It's like actually do it, not just mentioning it. Just mentioning it. And one of the things, there was one moment that I don't. There's one thing I don't like when it comes to rappers sometimes, and he did it in this project. Don't tell me you just did a bar. Don't do the bar. Let it go.
Oh, are you talking about the ducking Drake thing?
Yeah, he like Duck and
It was
Drake. Like like that only works. That only works in like rap battles in real life. Like in real life, where people have to be like, take that shit back, rewind that, and then they break it down, or like I forgot who does it, but like he goes, you know that I slow it down. I just dissed you. Like there's another, there's what I'm talking about. There's another layer to that, but like that works in person as like a showmanship thing. I think when people do that in rap songs, Duck and Drake, it's just like if you just let that song, if you just let that bar be, let us figure that out. Let us figure it out. Let us figure it out. It's okay to let it go. Let us figure it out. We'll figure it out. We can figure out the Duck and Drake. Like,
he was really
mind
proud of
you,
it.
say it
He
again.
was really he was
He
really
was really
proud.
proud of that one. So he wanted everybody to know about it. But like we
Yeah.
could have figured it out. And I feel like when you mention it, it makes it corny. Like it's just like, oh, I get it. It's like a good bar. It is, but like it was corny that you said that afterwards. You gotta just like let that be. Just let that be. Just let that sit. Um, but overall, like I said, it was cool. There was definitely a certain layer to this project that I did like. for the most part, because I re-listened to it and I was like, you know, it's not bad in a certain aspect, but it's really when you start digging into the lyrics. And like what's so unfortunate about it, it's like it's not that you're a bad lyricist, albeit sometimes not every bar is a good bar, especially when you repeat them. But like it's the fact that like when we dig into your lyrics, the whole narrative you're painting, it just doesn't align with reality. That's the portion is just like, what are we talking about here? Um and then also I would say I actually didn't mind the dance project. I didn't really like think too deeply on it. I wasn't like sitting there like, whoa, trying to contemplate every single beat switch or what have you. I was like, this is entertaining, you know, but I don't necessarily feel myself returning to it. It's the same way I felt about Honestly Nevermind. I think a lot of people um overly dislike that project. I thought it was fine. I thought Honestly
I
Nevermind was
actually like that project.
actually, yeah, I think it's actually fine, and
Me
even it's decent over time too. I
Yeah,
think,
to me, it's a serious highlight in his discography to me.
right, right.
Yeah.
I also think, I feel the same way about this dance project, the whatever it's called, the Maid of Honor. I think it's fine. I don't think it's necessarily like an insult. I think Sexy Red doesn't help. I just, I personally don't think like, I don't know if I've heard her in any, maybe the closest thing was like I don't know, maybe Tyler when she was on Tyler feature. It didn't necessarily sound like she was bringing out the song, nor did it necessarily sound like she was like adding anything too great. But I think Tyler used her well enough in that song. You know what song I'm referring to? Like that Sticky. I think she did like okay there. Um, but I think for the most part, Sexy Red as an artist, I don't see her as like an artist. I see her as just like a successful walking brand that like works to a certain extent. Like she has an audience. That's it. Like Sexy Red has an audience. The reason why Sexy Red is on this song is because Sexy Red has an audience, not because Sexy Red is like a super great artist. I don't think it's because Sexy Red is. I just don't. No offense. I just don't see her as a contribution to the music. But I think it's mostly because her platform has built her to the extent where she has an audience and to like a certain angle it kind of works, but I think that wasn't very good on both the she was featured twice on this, right, on the two different projects, right, two
Yeah,
different projects, right, yeah, both times I was just like, why is this person here? But Drake has done it before, um and I think the older song actually was better effect, let that what is that, let that breathe, you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, he on, For All the Dogs,
Bro, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it was actually a better
Like
effect
You Lost Your
there
Day.
than it is here, or whatever. I don't know what project. You just see the way the projects just blend together. Some people, some guy mentioned. I saw in a
It's
video.
For All the Dogs.
Somebody mentioned in the video some sexy songs for you. I'm just like entirely. I forgot it existed.
Yeah, it's too
Entirely,
many it's too many songs in the
entirely. I
end.
forgot that project existed.
He has too many songs. Um, but yeah.
But yeah, overall, maybe all three projects combined, I give Drake at most maybe like a 6.5 to a 7. Everything all collapsed together. 6.5 to a 7. Um, and I say that in fairness of the entire landscape of music and how there are songs out there that just don't even have melody and rhythm. So, you know, at least he has that. Albeit it's in his own discography, it's not the best, and in comparison to a variety of other music at his level and at the level of artistry that is around him, it is not comparable. I still think what is it? What was that song? What was that project last year? Memorable, and I would return back to it anytime. Pusha T and Malice. I think that was my favorite album last year. Was that 2525, right? Um,
Yeah,
uh,
Let God Sort 'Em Out.
yeah, like God Sort 'Em Out. That was probably my favorite project of 2025. I thought that was just good from beginning to end. Like, I think, like, there was only one aspect of that project where, like, legitimately I was just like, that was, like, slightly off tune, or, like, I think it was, like, a Pharrell portion where I was like, I don't know if necessarily the melody and how he interpreted or how he did that melody was the best, but that's like, a drop in the bucket. That project was amazing. Um, as well as, like, a variety of other projects that came out last year. I think, well, JID as well was really good. And Drake's 41 songs and 13 videos or what have you just doesn't compare to any of that. Just sit down and think of some quality, man. If maybe all your discography now is just talking about your family and talking about, like, what your dad's going through, and maybe, like, I don't know what you could talk about, but, like, it just doesn't compare. Anyway, that is it. That is our Drake review. We talked about 2 hours and 30 minutes on Drake. I don't know if that captured everything, but
Yeah,
captured.
I don't wanna capture everything, right? We don't need to,
Right.
but, yeah, the internet will do what it does, and everybody will get a full picture. I believe in the wisdom of the crowd, so I
Right.
just say only what I can say.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't need to say everything.
Right, right. Yeah, true indeed, true indeed.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's it.
kinda sad. I think somebody the dude that I mentioned that I saw his review said a very interesting statement that I just time is so interesting in that way, man. It's so interesting. But, I think we're on the other end of the Drake run. It's over. It is finito. That was a
I
crazy
think
run.
yeah, but I mean, I actually I don't think there's any such thing anymore as,
Say it again?
I don't think there's any such thing anymore as the end of a run, um, in this day and age.
Well,
I think
I mean, mostly in his, like, the
his
feeling that there was an
he
error. There
yeah,
was an
the are you talking about the energy that he elicits from people? He doesn't have that spark that you feel or felt?
Right, yeah, I mean, in that sense, yeah, it's yes, in that sense, the energy that he definitely gives the crowd, um, the praise isn't quite there, the dominance isn't quite there anymore either. The, like, absolute dominance, Drake is like Drake is dropping, you know what I'm saying? Like, Drake is dropping. And, and he kept that up for very many years, which is why I said, like, give the man his flowers. He did that for very many years. I don't know if anybody can replicate that. Uh, he did have hip hop in the chokehold, at least to a certain extent, whether we like it or not. He did. He had music in a chokehold, at least for quite some time. Like, he really did. Like, he actually did. And it was, I believe, 10 to 15 years. Like, we know the feeling. Like, it's a feeling. And I think he had that for some time, despite the fact that, a lot of his lyrics now, as we look back, and a lot of the success and the people behind those lyrics, only taints that image further. Like, that's what's unfortunate. Like, yeah.
Well,
But
I just think, I think they still have it. I think the most exciting acts are the ones that are we're talking about, right? Drake, Kendrick, Ye. I think they have it for as long as until somebody else comes in and does something we haven't seen before at that quality level. I think this keeps going, right? I think it's we're in that portion of music now, especially when it comes to hip hop, where painters can be as old as they want, basically.
right. Well,
Um,
okay. So then maybe it's the well, yes, I think then if anything, then it's the type of energy that we get from Drake. In other words, like, I think there was definitely maybe the era is marked by the fact that we expect Drake to come in and do something at least m- ma- well, both major and we're positively inclined towards it. I think now we're on the other end of that where it's we does something, it's major, so that means it's not losing the ability to like attract attention. But I think what we're like, it's all negative now, which
Well, think about it this way, Cole. At this same age that Drake is now, Kanye dropped The Life of Pablo.
but is it the same trajectory? I don't think so.
That's up to him.
Well, but I'm saying that at the
I
same
think
age, you said at the same age, Kanye dropped The Life of Pablo. Kanye's trajectory led him to The Life of Pablo. You understand what I'm saying? I think I'm saying that like in terms of the artistry, I think it's fair to say that Life of Pablo is way better than the last few projects that Drake has done in
yeah, but
combination.
the point I'm making, right? Like right now, or at least in the last year or two, I don't know if it's right now, we were all anticipating like an Andre 3K project, right? Like really super anticipating it. And he's way past, right? His point of his prime, you could say, right? I personally believe at this point that any narrative around primes is, you know, not taking into account the effect that the internet has had on everything, right? Anybody of any age can listen to anything at any time. If it's
Right. Well, I'm
legit,
not.
yeah,
Well, okay. I guess you can say that. I was saying more so. Well, you're right. So I guess you're saying that like Drake can still possibly make something that has a tremendous comeback. Is that what you're
yeah.
saying?
I think he has
Artistically.
our attention still, right?
Say it again.
I think Drake has our attention
Well,
still.
right. Well, I think yes,
We're still
yes.
interested in his story,
Right. And
right?
mind you, I'm saying he
I
will
just think
always
he's gonna keep doing this same thing
right,
over and over again.
right. I'm saying
That's the
yeah,
problem. Yeah,
that's it. That is the problem. That's what I
yeah.
mean by the trajectory. I think he will always have our attention, at least to a certain extent. He will always have that. But I think in terms of like the reception, it is leaning more negative. So whatever he does has to be truly out there and I mean completely shift and flip the narrative. And I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is and I'm not sure the trajectory that he's taken can lead us to something like that. Which is why I'm saying that, like, despite Kanye's wild trajectory, at least his ambition has always been more towards art than fame and fortune. You understand what I'm saying? He's definitely been tainted by it, but I think it's definitely been more towards art than fame and fortune. I don't think Drake has made that same decision. Um,
I do
okay,
have
but
to.
yeah,
Yeah,
I gotta go too. I
yeah.
gotta go too. Send me Could you do me a favor if you can? Could you send me the apps that you're using? I'll download all of them and send me the usernames and the passwords so that I can get started on some of the editing. And then also,
Really.
this is
Let
kind
me
of like
stop this here. Let me stop this here because this is post production
okay,
speak.
okay.
Uh, let me do that.